for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast.
Simmer Down with Sean Simpson. Brady Tkachuk with the tip. His 100th goal in his 300th game, and it's a Gordie Howe hat trick to tie it.
The sickest Ottawa Senators podcast. It's gonna be sick.
How we doing, Ottawa? Good to see everyone again. Back solo, but today we have a guest. The past couple of days, we've been taking questions and starting to see more and more questions about the upcoming draft. Obviously, Ottawa hasn't been playing well, and 2 picks in the first round. So obviously, this is going to be a topic that we're going to kind of have to discuss over the course of the year unless some things change. So, and what better day to do it than today? Craig Button's list was dropped. Grant McCagg, who we have as a guest, has dropped his top 10. So the scouts are starting to put together some lists here, and allow the fans to kind of dial in on who the top guys are in the draft, what this draft is shaping up to look like, and all that fun stuff. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, please. We'll probably do 20 minutes with Grant or so, and then we'll adjust from there. But yeah, should be fun. Kind of get away from the whole coaching fiasco. We know where I stand on that, so we don't need to kind of beat that dead horse, as I say. So yeah, we'll bring on Grant here. Grant's from Shawville, where I'm from. He owns Recruits magazine, so he's been doing lists for a while. Also was with McKean's back in the day. He seems to have one of the most accurate lists going out of everyone, and that's from his scouting ability to relationships he's built over time throughout North America, where he's able to talk to different people, and be able to make sure they're seeing what he's seeing and adjust from there. I talked about yesterday Matthew Nyes, how I watched some video for Grant, because he had a tough first half of the season and scouts weren't liking him as much. But with a fresh set of eyes, I saw what he saw, which was probably a first rounder. Like I said, that could have went the other way as well. But that's just an example of something that's happened in the past. So we'll bring on Grant now, and we'll start talking some prospects. How we doing, Grant?
Hey, good to see you, Justin. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem. This is fun. So had a lot of people talking about what type of draft this is, and is it a strong draft? Is there high-end talent, or is it more depth? So like, how are you feeling on that?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been professing that it's a fairly deep draft, but a lot of my NHL scouting contacts are saying that it's not. So, mind you, a number of them have yet to really get out west. These are typically our Eastern-based crossover scouts, so they're only just now getting out west and seeing the. I think that's where the real talent is this year in the Canadian Hockey League, is out west. And then in Europe, it's, there's decent talent. So what I think the real strength of this draft is, though, is the defense group. It may be the strongest defense draft since the Erik Karlsson, Doughty, Pietrangelo one. It's there's some real quality at the top, and it's quite deep. I mean, there might be a dozen or more, maybe 15. Anywhere between 10 and 15 defensemen could go in the first round.
Yeah, that's something I noticed. I'm not watching guys yet, or at all really. But whenever I see lists, the defensemen jump out at me in the first round. Very rarely do you see that many defensemen. And obviously it sounds like some quality. Now, would that push some better forwards back into the second round, creating that a little more depth, or?
Yeah, for sure. I know. I cover the Canadians as well on Recruit's website. And so, I get followed by a lot of Canadians fans. And last year, a lot of them were lamenting that well, this draft was going to be so strong with defensemen. Why did they take one last year? But I don't think you can approach a draft that way. If you like a player, you take them, and whatever happens next year happens. And I mean, there's two ways of looking at that too. If a bunch of defensemen go in the top 8 and Montreal's drafting 9th, then they're going to get one of the top forwards in the group, right? And it's the same deal with the Senators. Like if they'd like to needs wise, if they would like to pick up a forward in the first round or 2 forwards, well, it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some good ones, because there'll be a lot of defensemen that go, and they'll still get some of the top forwards in the draft class. So it's but yeah, I really like the defense group this year, and I think it's the strongest class in a lot of years for sure.
Yeah, great. And I know you're never shy to really just put the prospects how you really feel, not afraid of the public, and for the most part that's worked out for you, I think, over time. That's shown that. So did we want to kind of get into your top 10 here and give some people some players to kind of keep an eye on throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, I just
yeah.
I mean, the one thing that stands out when you see other lists, obviously, is where I have Eiserman at this point.
Okay.
He's typically in the top 3 of lists, and I mean, I'm not saying that he won't end up there. It's November still, right? And as someone who scouted for a number of years, Justin, you know that lists change, right? I mean, you can have guys in that are not even in the top 10 that end up top 3 in your draft board. Like a good example would be maybe the year Heiskanen and McCagg.
Yeah.
In November of that year, neither of them were in the top 20 of just about every draft list, and then they ended up being 3 and 4 in the draft. So a lot can change, but Eiserman, obviously is a great sniper. I mean, if you're looking for a goal scorer, I wouldn't be surprised if a team, even if they are concerned about some other things like I am with, his play away from the puck, stuff like that, he'll probably go top 5 anyway. But I think, I like every one of the players ahead of him, obviously, quite a bit. And that's why they're all slotted ahead of him at this time.
Yeah, just for the listeners only, Grant has him at 7. Most lists have him maybe 2 or 3. Cole Eiserman from the United States program. So, yeah. So now Celebrini, who's a Canadian at Boston University, he's number 1 on pretty much everyone's list. Can you maybe just talk about him and where he is at compared to maybe the elite talent we've seen in the past, with Bedard or that, and where he kind of ranks in there?
Yeah. I think what's standing out for everybody is that he's just a terrific all-around centerman. I've heard the name Crosby thrown out there. Now, obviously, he's probably not going to be the the point producer that Sydney is, perhaps, but just in terms of his all-around, like he's already very good defensively. Leadership qualities are through the roof. Competes at a high level in all 3 zones. Very smart, very conscientious of his defensive game. In addition to having excellent offensive skills, like he's great puck skills, very smart. What I think it puts him ahead of everybody else at this point is that he's just so safe. That he's going to be a top 2 centerman. That he's going to help you win games. That he's going to take care of his own zone, and he's going to score points. So to me, at this point, at least, he's there's Celebrini, and then there's everybody else, and they're all kind of fighting it out, duking it out to see who'll be number 2.
Awesome. One name that sticks out on this list at number 10, Drew McGinley's son, playing in Kelowna of the WHL. Does he play like his father? And what do you see from him?
Yeah, well, there are certainly some similarities there. He's a little smaller than Jerome, and maybe not, and in that sense, not as strong. He's not going to maybe overpower people as much as Jerome did, but the other parts of his game are very similar. Like, he's got a wicked shot. He's very fast, very smart, and competes. He drives play. I had an NHL scout I was texting with the other day who saw him, was saying, like, he just every shift he's doing something. You notice him. He's he's on the puck. He's a puck hound. Always noticeable. Always doing something in a positive way. Now he's much like Celebrini. He's one of those kids that extremely safe. And you know as well as anybody. Yeah, I mean, that's for some people that's a bad word. Well, you don't want a safe prospect. Well, you do if he's also got upside, right?
Yeah.
You want to pick a player that is going to help your team and won't be a bust. I mean, it's important because we've seen it. Teams that take a kind of a boomer bust guy in the first round and they end up not playing at all. Well, that's not good. But if they've also got offensive upside, I mean, Aginla's got 18 to 20 goals already this year in the WHL. He's going to be I think he'll be a 30-plus goal scorer at the NHL level, and just play in your top two lines and be a contributor in a lot of ways.
Awesome. Number 8 that you have, so he's the only OHL guy on your list, Zane Perek. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Can you say that for us?
I think it's just Perek.
Perek. Awesome. Now, so we talk about a lot on the pod, the London Knights and how they're good programs, create good players. So how would you compare him to Sam Dixon, who I see in the top 15 of other on lists, and kind of the difference between the two? One seems like more of an offensive guy that's 6 foot in Zane Perek. Yeah. And then Sam Dixon is maybe a little bigger and more defensive. Could you talk about those two?
Sure. It's Dickinson, by the way, not Dixon.
Dickinson. So.
He actually, I have him 11th.
Okay.
And he was in my top 10 right up until I updated this list the other day. Could very well end up being top 10 by the end of the year. I find these from 2 to 14 is close. Like any of the guys that are, and I mean, we've seen that in a lot of drafts lately where your rankings in November, you could be, and I've had NHL scouts say, well, the guy that's 2 could be, 14 and vice versa. And that's the way I feel about it too. Because I mean, there's kids like Dickinson, Juracek, Catton, who are all really good prospects and who have all been in my top 10, at points already this draft. Now they're all close. They're all close to being top 10 guys for me right now. So what gives Perek the edge on Dickinson for me is just his offensive upside. He's on pace for 83 points this year. The last draft eligible OHL defenseman to score 80 points was Ryan Ellis 15 years ago.
Wow.
So, and he turned out to be a heck of a defenseman.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, his puck skills are some of the best I've seen from a junior defenseman in a long time. He's very good at finding the shooting and passing lanes. Very good feet. He can juke guys really, just with ease. One of the best puck handling junior defensemen in the last 20 years in Canada. And I think he can run a power play at the NHL level. Now, what's been the concern, obviously, with him in the past has been his play away from the puck. But I've seen strides in that regard this year as well. I had a deep. I have a subscription to Instat, and they give you a lot of, they break down every game, and you can look a little deeper into stats and stuff. And his first 12 games of the year, he was on the ice for 24 goals against. Typically, if you're on average on the ice for 2 goals against a game, that's not very good. Even if you are playing 20 plus minutes a game. But in his last 10, he was on the ice for 9 goals against. So he pared it down to under a goal a game that he's on the ice for. So that, and you see that on the ice as well. He's competing more, utilizing the good skating mobility that he has, and checking. He's never going to be a body checker. Like I think he's had like 3 hits all season or something like that. So don't be expecting that type of player, but he's using his stick. He's utilizing his stick, poke checking, getting in lanes, cutting off passes, and just playing a lot better defensive game. And I think, you see it in the past, the guys that aren't necessarily great defensively that play top 4 roles because they're going to bring, when they have the puck, they're going to be so beneficial to your team. And then he can run a power play. So we all know how important it is to have a good power play quarterback. And I think he's going to be an elite one. And that's why at this point I've got him ahead of Dickinson. I've got an article that I'm releasing today, and it looks back at some of the offensive defensemen and where they got taken in the draft because there were concerns with their defense. Like you look at Adam Fox, went in the 3rd round. Safe to say that if you did a redraft, he'd be top 10, right?
No, 100%. And that's something like these guys have the puck the entire time throughout their minor hockey career.
Yeah.
And they don't ever have to defend because they just have the puck the entire time. So you hope they're smart enough to be good offensively. They can make those changes to be smart enough defensively. And you see it a lot. You sometimes it doesn't work out maybe as well, but you're right. Adam Fox, I remember even in the scouting room, them talking about him and they didn't like, one guy was really championing him and the rest didn't like his defensive ability. And we know now what that's like. So,
where'd you guys have him ranked?
I think in that 3rd round area too. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I was with McKean's at the time and I did rank him in the 1st round. So
wow, good.
There's one,
Yeah.
Blind squirrel gets the odd nut.
All right. So obviously mostly Ottawa and Gatineau listeners here. What about the 67s and the Gatineau Olympics? I know Henry Muse is one guy talked about. Could you talk about him and maybe some other guys from either team that some people could get out and watch?
Yeah, sure. Muse is the big, he's the guy to keep a close eye on out of the 2 teams. You see him in the 1st round of a lot of draft lists, and a lot of NHL scouts like him as a 1st rounder, or, late 1st to early 2nd. I've got him a little further down than that, like mid 2nd at this point, but I'm going to see a pile of them being located in Ottawa and getting out to a lot of 67s games, and we'll see if I can't warm up to him a little more. I'm a little concerned about his size. I don't know how good he is defensively.
How big is he?
Well, he's listed at 6 foot.
Yeah.
He looks smaller than that, but it could be that he crouches, I think he's 5'11", maybe 5'11 and a half, but perhaps he is 6 foot. Now, like, he doesn't play physical. He's not going to be a physical defensive defenseman. So he's going to have to produce, I think, to be effective in the NHL. And And there seems to be some varying opinions on just how his offensive game will translate at the NHL level. But he's certainly a good skater, very smart, poised with the puck, makes a lot of smart plays. And I wouldn't be surprised. Teams are always looking for that type of defenseman, right? And after 20 in the draft, you see a run of defensemen typically, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes the end of the first round.
Good. Gatineau?
Yeah. Well, there's one other kid in Ottawa, Frankie Morelli, another defenseman. He's 5'10". And as you know, 5'10" defenseman's got to be pretty dynamic to be considered in the top 3 rounds. So he's more likely to be a mid-round pick, but he's a heart and soul player. He was on the Halinka team, and Coach Al Latang, who's from Renfrew, so I know Al. He couldn't say enough good things about how he stepped up in the medal round games, and just was a real force for them. So I don't know that his game necessarily translates to the NHL, but at the very least, I think he'd be a hell of an AHLer. And you need those guys in your organization. They could maybe be a captain of an AHL team someday and mentor other guys and help help the team at that level. And if all comes together and there's injuries and you get an NHL chance, who knows? Maybe he could carve out an NHL career someday. So I expect him to go probably in the mid round somewhere. And then in Gatineau, they've got a 6'6" Slovenian defenseman.
Oh baby, 6'6", eh?
Yeah, and as you know, if they even have a pulse, right? Yeah. NHL teams are going to look at him.
Can't teach size. He can't teach size.
Well, that's right. And as I well know, I like to say that I didn't make the NHL because of my size, but we all know that was just one of the many factors for that. But he's from Slovenia, and he played U18 hockey in Austria last year. So that's quite a step up, right? Yeah. Come into Canadian junior hockey as a rookie, and you're 6'6". He's a late June birth date, so he's young, Yeah. So I mean, for all those factors, you give him a bit of leeway. Yeah. I mean, Gatineau doesn't have a very good team this year, and you go see them and they're getting blown out. It's tough to, as you know, really evaluate a kid playing defense when your team loses, 8-2 or whatever. Yeah. Because, you're trying to get the puck up and the forwards aren't giving you puck support. And there's a lot of factors in it, right? But I think the consensus on him is a raw project that likely goes late in the draft somewhere because, hey, he's just getting acclimatized to better hockey. He's a big kid. He doesn't skate too bad. Looks like he's not, puck moving is okay. His sense is okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if a team took a flyer on him late.
Yeah. And those, we talked about the second half there. Guys could come on, and typically I tend to think it's more defensemen that do that than forwards for the most part, just because of the nature of the game. And people are always asking how the scouting system works. So that would be a guy is on your list, and you're going to continue to watch and see how he progresses throughout the last half of the year for anyone listening. What about some prospects for the Senators that the Senators have drafted maybe in the last year or two that you think are trending in the right direction, or was a good pick?
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, they didn't have, very many top 100 picks in the last couple of years, if memory serves correctly there. So, it was later round guys. So just the fact that any of them are impressing is good, I think, because typically future NHLers are picked in the top 3 rounds, right? But I've been really impressed by Andonovsky in Kitchener this year. He's playing on the top pairing with Brustowicz there quite a bit, and he's looked really good. I've been keeping an eye on Mayshire from the Canadians quite a bit, so I've seen him. Excuse me. I've seen a number of their games, and he's really stood out. I didn't mind him last year, and I had him ranked as a 5th rounder, and that's where he went. But if you did a redraft today, I think he'd certainly go somewhere in the top 3 rounds for sure, maybe 2nd round. Last time I checked, because he had really stood out for me, and I had a look. Went on to Elite Prospects there to have a look at his stats, and he was leading the OHL in plus minus, and substantially. I know a lot of people poo-poo plus minus and stuff, but I find it when it's something really stands out, like if you're leading, an entire league in plus minus, that tells a story, right? Yeah. Or conversely, if you're, minus 30 or whatever, there's something to be said there. So he was plus 26, and I think 13 games in or 20 games in or something like that. If you're more than plus 1 every single game, you're playing solid hockey. And I think he's a good, viable NHL prospect for the Sens, and they got him in the 5th round. So that I think was great value.
Yeah,
and then,
that might be a Donnie Boyd pick. I'm not sure, but that could be. He's from the London area. So
what's that?
I said that could be a Donnie Boyd pick. He's from the London area. So
okay,
yeah. The Sens. He's a Sens scout. So
okay.
What about anyone on the European front for the Sens?
Well, Oscar Pettersson from 2 years ago is a kid that I like. I think they got him in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. Big kid. Trent Mann, when he was there, they always seemed to, that scouting staff always picked a big European in the first 3 rounds that end up being a pretty good prospect, and he's another one, like the good size, good power forward type winger that when I've seen him in he's produced at the U20 level the last 2 years. He was good at the World Juniors last year. He'll be back this year, and I think he'll be a big part of the Swedish squad. I think he's played 5 games, U20 events this year, or 6 games, and picked up 5 points. So he's producing at that level. I think he'll be a top 6 forward for the Swedes and have a really good World Junior tournament. I think he's a solid NHL prospect. 3rd rounder, we'll see, but he might have a shot at making the NHL someday. I think he'll probably end up going to Binghamton. I don't know his contract status, but as soon as that's up, he'll get over to Belleville, and really, I think he can play at the AHL level soon. So I like him as a prospect too. I think those 2 guys are the ones that, at this point at least, and Stephen Holliday's another kid, big kid that they drafted out of the U, who was 20 or 19 at the time, that stepped into college hockey and produced right away. Now he has to keep working on his skating. 6'4" kid usually is the case, but really, really solid playmaker and protects the puck really well. So, those 3 guys I think have a chance. The sorry, you're going to have to repeat. Justin, you're going to have to repeat what you said there.
Oh,
I heard you at the end. Speak.
you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. You talk about maybe Tyler Boucher, where you saw him in his draft year. If you thought the Sens took him in the right spot, or if you thought they reached on him. I know he's had some injuries lately, but kind of what you thought of him in his draft year and what you think he could be.
Well, I think I was like most. I didn't have him. I was surprised when they took him 10th overall. I had him as a late first. I mean, in talking to a lot of NHL teams, they felt the same way, and a lot of guys wondered why, if you just absolutely had to have him, why you didn't maybe move back some, because I almost guarantee that another team wasn't going to take him in the top 20. But I mean, we're always experts on hindsight, right? I mean, he was injured a lot in his draft year, so that was one of the reasons why you thought it was too risky to take him that high, because you really didn't know, right? You were projecting a lot, but I think the Senators probably looked at it and said, well, I think we've got a top 6 down the road that's really solid, and we need a kid that can play middle line role, power forward type. And I think they maybe went, towards a need more so than picking the player with the most upside at that point. I don't know for sure, but that's how I figure that they looked at it. I mean, I don't see him being certainly not a first liner, probably not a second liner. You're hoping that he can be a physical third line presence that brings energy and can pop some goals. I don't know how many. I think you got out to a few 67s games the past 2 years, and you maybe saw him once or twice. But I mean, you saw flashes, right?
Yeah.
He's got a decent shot. He's got a bit of playmaking ability and can shoot, and he's got the size, physical presence to carve out an NHL career. Now, whether it's a productive one or not, that's probably the biggest question mark with him. But injuries obviously have curtailed his development, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Grant. I think that was great. I think Sens fans were looking to get caught up on some scouting stuff, and maybe we'll get you back here in the near future. I know the World Juniors are coming up. Maybe we could talk about prospects there to watch, and your thoughts on that. So thank you very much. Shovel connection is always nice. Thank you.
When you're hosting there, I've got a suggestion there. It's simmer down, right? But Murray up, I guess, would be
simmer down, maybe. Yeah, no, that's good. Where can everyone check you out? You do great lists, so let everyone know where to find you. And yeah.
Well, I mean, if they don't mind, a little Hab-centric tweeting or Xing, or I guess whatever you want to call it, they can find me on Twitter, X, at Grant McCagg, and that I post all my articles on there and that are on Recruit's website. It's Recruits is RECRUTES. So if you punch that into Google, you'll get to my website and you'll see what it's all about.
Awesome. Perfect. Keep rolling, Grant. And thanks for coming.
Thanks, Justin.
Cheers. All right. That was good. Yeah, we had a lot more talk from Sens fans about this draft. People always love the draft, and for good reason. I mean, I'm always looking up mock drafts, NFL, even NBA, I love that aspect of things. So it's always nice to see the players coming in the league, and then you could kind of, if you keep doing that each year, you know the league then, right, for the most part. So that's good. I think we answered a lot of the questions that people had. We talked about Henry Muse, talked about Tyler Boucher. One thing, from Ryan Barber, commonly 8 to 9 defensemen taken in the first. In 2018, there are 14, just trying to get a feel why this group is so much stronger. In 2012, 8 out of the top 10 were D-men. Yeah, I think, on Craig's list, we haven't got to see all of Grant's list, but on Craig's list, there's 14. So it might not end up like that. But 14 guys is a lot for defensemen, I think. Whether they'll be that great or not, we'll see. I know Grant had one at number 2, one at number 4, and one at number 8, and then another one at 11. So that's pretty good. We're seeing a lot of forwards become really, really good. And like you said, McCarr and Heiskanen came in later in the second half. I typically notice that with D all the time. You can get tricked though, because you might catch them on a good run, and then you think they're a player all of a sudden. A guy like that, I would go watch this Connor Hall kid in Kitchener, and my God, I saw him. He looked like the best defenseman in the draft one night, and so you keep following him, and you see him good, and then you question if later on if why he played so well, because by the end he wasn't great, So you got to be careful as guys rise. But for the most part, if you see them play that way, more than a couple games at a certain level, that's probably the level they're at, with always exceptions to the rules or not. So we could start getting into some more NHL questions. Just want to talk about last night. I think a little. Let me just kind of pull this up here. Obviously the Canadians beat the Blue Jackets. Sens have the Blue Jackets coming here. Sam Montembeault has turned into a pretty good goalie. There's 2 goalies that I really, really got to see whenever I was scouting, him and Blackwood. And I wouldn't call myself a goalie expert by any means, but I did like Montembeault. When I watched him in the NHL, I didn't really like him as much, but he's really come on. So the Blue Jackets lost again. They had a big win against the Bruins, so you wanted to see if they were coming on. So this is a game tomorrow night that the Sens should win. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. But it could be a building block, hopefully to more wins. Red Wings, Rangers. There are going to be 2 top competing teams in the Eastern Conference, I think, along with Florida and Boston, and maybe Tampa. So Eastern Conference is some good teams here. Good game. I think overall Rangers will have the better goaltending, and will likely be the better team. But if Kane could play well and give some firepower, more firepower to the Red Wings, who they have a lot of forwards that can, score by committee and go to work. But having that guy that can just go down and score, and Kane's not going to be the Kane of the past. You used to watch Minnesota play Chicago at times in the playoffs, and then Kane would just go down and score a goal. He'll still have flashes of the pan for sure, but he won't be that player from the past, but he'll still add some, the power play, some scoring ability, some danger. And if that hits better, he should really help out the Red Wings. The Capitals Kings game is intriguing to me. The Capitals, they got 5 men in the TV screen at all times in their own zone. They're tight, close, guys not getting to the middle of the ice. The Kings just, they had 40 shots by the end, and probably 15 of them came in the third, and they're just bombarding the Caps, and the Caps just held on from good goaltending, but also just being defensive, keeping guys to the outside, and blocking shots. I don't think that's the way the Senators want to play. I think the Senators have way more skill than the Caps do. I think they have a better back end than the Caps do in some ways. In other ways, not just in the way that, you know, their bottom guys just play defensively, play safe. But it's interesting with the Caps. It just shows, you know, if you can play right defensively, you're going to win games in this league. And if you can combine that with the skill of the Ottawa Senators, I think you have a good team. And I think that's what bothers fans too. It hasn't been great defensively, or players not playing smart, or a little soft on pucks, and it's frustrating because I think we can kind of get there as a team, and I think the fans believe in that. So I think that just shows what's possible in this league if you commit to the defensive side of the puck. Fishing has a good question here. Do the Sens need a veteran on the blue line or at the forward position? They have veterans, but they need a good veteran, and I think a good veteran on D in that fifth spot that can penalty kill. I think that would be really good for, like, next year. Next year, you're probably going Clevin on the left side. Let's say you're not making a big trade yet, so you want to fill, and so Clevin's going to have low cap hit. If you can fit in a guy, you know, in that $3 million range, maybe $2.5 million range, that can really play hard on your bottom pair and penalty kill, I think that's going to help your team. I think we see teams that win have those stable go to work guys on the back end. So that's kind of where I'm at. That would probably make the most sense. Any more questions? We could kind of talk. Yeah, just if Dorian was still GM, do you think he would have made a change? That's a good question. Potentially, because he knows his job would be on the line. So that would be one way to think about that. He could probably convince the owners that it'd be the right thing to do because he's seen enough. I don't know if he's had enough balls for that, like in the sense of not him personally. It's just he probably wanted to see where this was going and run off the rails. So he's probably in the same boat. I think a few more losses, Pierre would probably fire the guy. And it's not a shot at Pierre at all. It was just more like, you're 8-9. You're just not sure. You want to be sure on this. Your next coaching hire, if he was still the GM, if that didn't go well, then you're in trouble, right? So I think he would just want to be sure as well. You look last night, or you see Bill Guerin and the ex-coach of the Minnesota Wild, they're chums, and he had to fire him, and they're crying. And listen, that's no fun to fire anyone. So I understand that this is a tough thing for the owner. I agree. No one likes to fire anyone in any job unless there's a major issue. But so I understand from the owner's side, they want to be sure. But I think the fans have seen enough. I think that you can't always agree with the fans, or else you'll become a fan and not have a job. But it's, they're probably right on this one, and I agree with them. And when it's the whole fan base is behind it, I think that tells you something. Yeah, what else with Chabot coming back? Who comes out of the lineup? Are they just waiting for a healthy lineup until they make the change with DJ? That could be it for sure. I would be putting Greg and Kastlik on LTIR. They could play Tuesday. If they're not for sure ready to go today, I mean, Greg with his high ankle sprain, why not? Why not just allow this kid to just cut back a little healthier? It's Thursday. You play Tuesday. That's not much long of a wait. Good things take time, right? So I would be okay putting those on LTIR and kick the problem down the road. With Chabot back, I think it's going to be interesting. I think they miss him big time. And the stats would show that. So there's a guy that just could log minutes and skate the puck out of their own zone with ease if he needs to. We'll be lucky to have him back here. And it'll be interesting to see how they roll them. It looks like Chychrun, Sanderson, Zub, Chabot for now, which I'm okay with. And then on the third line, third pair looks like Brandstrom and Hamonic. They're all interchangeable for me. They're all interchangeable between add JBD in there. You know, they talk about Henry Muse, and I don't want to talk poorly about a prospect that's in Ottawa, but you get the same kind of feeling as these guys. I mean, Hamonic's a little different, but just a average size guy that really doesn't do anything dynamic, he's just a guy, you know, and you need guys sometimes, but if you're trying to make the playoffs, you need to get rid of those guys and get players. And it's hard in the cap system. I get it, but so those are all interchangeable for me. I worry about Brandstrom and JBD as a partner because I don't like their one-on-one defending. I think they aren't strong enough. I think they can get beat, and I just don't think they have more. Brandstrom doesn't, you know, he looks at the puck a little more, puck watches. And JBD is, you know, he's showing some physical ability, but those one-on-one battles in front of the net, he's just not there. And as a third liner, you're typically maybe a little bigger as a forward. So if you're playing against the other team's third line and you're on the third pair, you're going to have to battle some big guys. And that's tough. Now you won't have to play a ton of minutes with the other four guys up there, but that's what scares me. If this team was in a playoff hunt, you know, I'd be looking at what Clevin could do, or Montepallo in those situations as well, playing lower minutes. I know Montepallo struggled a little later on, but I think in the right situation, he might, you know, you might be happy with him. I'd be interested to see how he's doing down in Belleville. If anyone watches them, let us know. But he's, you want size there. I think if all things are equal, you want the bigger guy. Any more questions? Any intel on whether Staios is currently searching for a GM? No, I got to think he's looking, but we talked about before, you're probably not getting your guy mid-season unless he's an ex-guy that's been fired, which is I'm okay with. Guys get recycled all the time. But if you're looking at a Matthew Darsh, Tolinsky, or I forgot how to pronounce his name, from Carolina, who I'd be interested in as well. But so I think they're probably looking, but probably knowing that they're waiting till the off season, which leads me into that's why I say the coach is okay to you're okay to do the coach now. I mean, that's against normal thought process, but there's always exceptions to the rule. And I think this time is an exception to that rule. Why not get a good coach in here and start the process early? I think Staios is a smart hockey man. He could handle, there's not much to do anyways. You're at the cap. You're just managing transactions up and down. You're managing injuries. At the deadline, maybe, you're going to have to make a trade here, obviously. So he'll have to do that. But I think he has pro scouts around him, and Bonus and Staios, I think, knows hockey as well. Where he might not know is the little intricacies of the cap and all those other things, which I think, bringing in an ex GM to just consult and pick his brain about things would make sense. You briefly touched on this yesterday, but who would be a great candidate for Staios to hire as a consultant advisor to the GM? I think a guy like Chuck Fletcher would be great. I don't know if he wants the job. Peter Chiarelli, probably not moving over from St. Louis to do the same job. Guys like in that way, though, that can, my dad would be great at it. I said, I don't think he cares to do that, but he would be outstanding at that. Just question things in the organization, build some organizational structure, think outside the box, and he's there for the GM to talk to whenever he wants to do something. You got to question everything. You got to have a guy there that's willing to question your thought process, because I think as a GM, you always want to be pushing the envelope, not necessarily using everything you're thinking of, but you want to be always having new ideas. Can we do this? Can we do that? What if we tried this? What if we tried that? So you're going to come up with some crazy ideas, and you want someone there to go, okay, this is a little crazy. Maybe we should not do this, but try this. So you want to have that banter with someone daily about what you could do. The last thing you want to be is in your own echo chamber, trying to figure out what your next move is. Surround yourself with good people. That's what excellent managers do. I talk about the Cubs way and Theo Epstein. During training camp, they would just live in a house together, 8 of their staff that were high up, and all they just did was talk shop for, all of training camp. Obviously, we're not in training camp, and that's maybe a little excessive, but the point stands of having people around you that you can talk to, you can question each other, you can challenge each other. That's what makes you good. Jordan Stitt, good little quote there. I'll leave that though, for people to read. Do you trade Chabot before his no movement clause kicks in? I'd like to not, because of the things I outlined in the past. That means then you're giving Chikrin all this money because he's going to demand it because he knows he's the guy. So that scares me a little bit. We've wanted defensemen forever. Now we have them, and now we want to trade them. So that scares me a little bit too. Now, if things aren't going well, you don't want to be pigeonholed in a no movement clause. But I got to think better coaching is going to bring the best out of Thomas Chabot. He's proven it. I think we're okay to see it. We got Clevin coming, who can play at low money. If you want, you have JBD at low money for your bottom pair, and you can really get rid of $3 million between Hamonic and Brandstrom. I think they're redundant at this point for the following year. I think that's probably good today. I appreciate all the questions. Thank you to Grant as well. I could not do this without these questions. I don't even know what I would do. So I hope everyone is enjoying it as much as I am. I think this is awesome. It's like sitting at the bar and shovel or somewhere in Ottawa with your chums and just talking hockey. And it's a big weekend coming up with it should be an easy win, but there's no easy wins in the NHL. And then back home for Seattle, who hasn't been playing as well either. Need some saves. Need to manage the puck if we're up, and we need to be a little harder on pucks. And I don't know if this week at practice they worked on that. I hope they did. I hope they're a little embarrassed of the last game. I really do. I really do. And I hope that maybe the bullshit in the third period has brought them together a little bit, and collectively embarrassed, but collectively together. I'm on tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Let's get those questions ready. Let's talk about some hockey, and you guys have a good day. Peace out, Ottawa.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Simmer Down with Sean Simpson on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.